Hi everyone, this is Elias from RevMatch Media. Today we are going to be test driving the 2021 Kia Seltos SX Turbo all-wheel drive. Now, look at it. It's in the Sunbright yellow color, and there's definitely no missing this one. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now I wanted to start off with the front, and we can see with this specific model we have the LED light bar at the top, and we have these amazing, very clean, very bright looking LED headlights, as well as the little fogs that you have at the bottom. So a lot of light output, but it's definitely a bright and clean look to it as well. And we have obviously the brushed aluminum finish on this plastic grille with these surrounding this black design here, which we have a lot of triangular shapes, which we'll see on the inside. It also gets carried into there as well. But overall, it's a really fun looking front end. At the bottom, we have kind of a I don't want to say misinterpretation, but it looks like this can go off-road. But you have to be very careful, because even though that looks like a skid plate, it's really not going to protect you from much, and it is fairly low. There's not much clearance at the bottom, but again, I'm sure just light off-roading. But again, this is going to be more of on the city driving. Taking a look under the hood, we are dealing with a 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder. Now this has 195 pound-feet of torque and 175 horsepower. What's really incredible is that the torque happens really low at about 1500 RPMs, I believe. Now this has numbers that are a little different. So what I mean by that is the Kia Soul GT has a little bit more power, but that Kia also has a 1.6 liter. So I don't know if this is a detuned version of it, or if it's a completely different engine. I'm not too familiar with the engines, in that specific family, but I do know that the Kia Soul GT does have a little bit higher number. Now with this, again, there's plenty of space to really work on things. You have your oil cap is right here. The turbo is actually in the back. But there's a lot of accessible things in here. There's a lot of space to work on. So this little engine is pretty peppy. I was surprised by it, and I mean the fuel economy was also great as well. So I'm definitely impressed with this little guy. Now coming down to the wheel, this is the optional 235/45 18 inch wheel. I love the design. It's got a cool little like lobster claw look to it. It's also got the brushed aluminum finish to it, or the polished aluminum, and the gray inserts here. And it's got a nice little color pop with the little red accent on it. Overall, it's definitely the wheel you want to have with the Seltos. When we get to the side, we can see the profile of it is definitely SUV. Now, maybe not full-size SUV, because after all, that's not what this is. Telluride is your full-size on the Kia, but it's got a nice, good size to it. One of my favorite things is, obviously, besides the yellow color itself, is the black accents. So this one does have the optional black roof, and we have the two-tone, the bottom part here, as well as the black plastic around the fenders. And it really has a great shape to it. Also the nice brushed aluminum finish to it, black mirrors, the badging. It's great. It definitely has a nice color, nice shape to it. Proportions look nice as well. And you can definitely see why this is something that I've been really wanting to get a hold of and take for a test drive. Let's go to the back. Now coming to the back, we have a tailgate, obviously with this being small SUV. It's not automated. It does have a little button in the back for it to open, and just like your normal shocks that just push it up. Would be nice to have a remote option, but this works. I mean, it's not a big deal. Now the trunk space could use a little help. So we are a little bit on the tighter side with this one compared to some other SUVs. So just be aware of that. That's one of the things you want to take a look at if you're considering this, is making sure that all your things are going to fit. So here we have a few items, and we did go grocery shopping. It was a little tough. We had to put, well, we did a bulk shop. So we did have to put some stuff in the back seat. But overall, you know, if you really Tetris things in there, you should be pretty good with it. But a little bit more space would be a nice option. So the Kia Seltos does have a remote start, so it's just a matter of holding down the button on the key fob and the car will start. Now, it's not that loud, so it's not going to be like, you know, the Dodge Charger or the Challenger, where, you know, you can be from your room or be from your apartment or your house, and you'll hear it from the, you know, from the outside. It also doesn't have that long of a range, so it is a little tough to, you know, be indoors, have the car outside, hold it down to get the car warmed up. So it, you know, it was a matter a couple of times when I did have to try it or wanted to try it, I did have to be fairly close to it, which at that point might as well just unlock the car, get in and start it myself. Now, let's go ahead and take a look inside at some of the cool things in this Kia Seltos. So the space inside here is a lot. There's a lot of space for the front driver, passenger, for the front seats, passenger and driver. We also have in the back, you can see my son's baby seat or car seat is there. Very easy to put in, not too many issues, and there's plenty of space. He's not able to really reach the front seat, which is always a welcome thing when you know, kids get antsy and they want to start kicking the back seat. So there's plenty of space there. Back seat, you know, tons of space for adults. So no complaints there. And it's just a really good ergonomically set up car. Lots of space, and it looks cool too. So enough of this, let's go for a drive. The steering wheel feels nice. So it feels like a light steering wheel in the sense of the weight itself. Like if we were to take the steering wheel off of the car, it feels like it wouldn't weigh that much, but it's got a good feel to it in the sense of what the actual feedback is that you're getting from the wheel itself. So this is driving this is a little kind of confusing because it's hinting at little things that it wants to be. What I mean by that is, and we saw that with the Kia Soul X line, where it felt like it wanted to be an off-road trim, so to speak. With this, it's wanting to have some pep to it. So with the 1.6 liter turbo engine, we're looking at 195 horsepower and 175 pound-feet of torque. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but this really gets going. You can really get it going, and that's kind of what I'm hinting at. It's wanting to be like a little sports car, even though it's not. I mean, it's a fairly oversized, it's a crossover SUV or CUV, like they call it. About the size of about the Volkswagen Tiguan, but it wants to do some sports car things. So the engine is pretty peppy. It's got a nice little growl to it. It feels great, you know, smooth, and like I said, the steering input feels incredible as well. The seats are probably one of my favorite seats that I've sat in a while. They are comfortable, but they are like racing seats. The bolsters on the side are huge. They really hold me in. Like, they really hold me in if you're taking the turns, but they kind of hug you and you know, keep you comfortable. So definitely big boy friendly. And again, it feels great. I was surprised by the feel of it. I think this actually feels more sportier than the Kia Soul GT, which that's what that little thing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little bit more on the sportier side, but this feels a lot more nimble, and it's actually less powered, and I feel like this would weigh more because it's bigger. But braking is fine, not 100% there. There is a little bit of a slush at the beginning of the brakes, but once you kind of wake up the brakes, so to speak, the brakes really kick in. So there's no complaints about that. And you know, stopping it with the 18-inch wheels on there, we have plenty of grip, and the road feels good. I was not expecting this from this car. I was thinking, so my whole thing when it came out, I mean, we see this yellow. It's incredible. I mean, you can't. It's it's gonna be a miss or hit, sort of hit or miss kind of thing, because some people are gonna say, God, that looks awful, and I'm here thinking that looks amazing. That's what I want all my cars to look in. It's a really cool looking yellow. So it's when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a little SUV. I'd love to get my hands on one, because this is definitely something I would like to actually buy. So I'm looking at, you know, getting an upgrade to my Volkswagen Golf, because our family's growing, and as far as from when we started, both me and my wife, now we have a 5-year-old. So sometimes we need a little bit more space, and especially like if I'm working on things and need to haul more equipment. So this was a huge candidate. We love the Soul. We really love the Soul, and it's a quirky little thing, and it's awesome. It definitely fits a lot of our needs. But then when we saw this, we're like, okay, maybe we can make it, you know, maybe we can have a different styling to it. The yellow is definitely a must. And we thought, okay, we need to get our hands on one. And I thought, okay, it's gonna suck that I'm gonna have to get a little bit bigger of an SUV, because again, we like hatchbacks, or I like hatchbacks and sportier cars. But when we received it, I was like, okay, this stands out. It definitely stands out. The styling is incredible. It's got a very futuristic look to it, including the inside trim in here. And I thought, okay, you know, having driven this, I can see why little things like this are awesome. And I've driven other smaller SUVs like this, or compact utility vehicles, or CUVs, or crossovers. And they're just, I feel like they're just bigger on the outside, but no benefit to the inside. Or we have situations where, you know, it's literally on the car chassis and it's not any more space, but you're paying more and it's a bigger vehicle, which makes no sense. But this is great. Like I said, you know, if you want to hammer it down, it can really go. And we have the drive modes down here. We can go into normal mode, which again is going to be nice and economical. We're looking at about 30 miles to the gallon on the highway, 25 on the street, and 27 combined, which is great. You know, you're hauling 4 or 5 people in the car, and you know, getting that mileage on a gas engine. 1.6 with the turbo, it's great. You got some great results with that, and it's a fairly good size to it. But then you have their other drive mode, which is Smart. So Smart turns white when you're behaving, and you're not mashing the gas. So it's gonna be conservative. But when you start accelerating, it turns red and it kicks into the sport mode. So it's just that, it's smart. It knows when you want to be on one and when you want to be on the other. So it's a very intuitive system, and it works great. It worked great with the Kia Soul as well, but the Soul did have an eco mode, which is something I was looking for in this. I was hoping this would have the eco mode so we could see even further kind of gas savings or miles per gallon for it. But overall, it's been a pretty fun drive. Now we have some creature comforts, we have our heated seats. So these awesome, incredible, comfortable, really hug you tight seats have the heated option. They don't have the cooling, which, you know, it's always a welcome thing, especially here in Texas when we are dealing with really hot Texas heat. But today it's a little cool, which is why I'm wearing my little beanie. We're in about the 50s, so not too cold, but not enough to warrant the heaters. But they work great. Super hot, but it's very spread out. Now, getting back to the drivetrain, the automatic transmission. When we test drove the Kia Soul GT, we had kind of a weird engaging off the line. When we were off the line, we felt the kind of click, no matter how I did it, no matter how softly I went ahead and I tried taking off from a stop, just doing the brakes. We felt this kind of lock, and we don't know if it was due to that specific model, or if we were dealing with something inherent with the transmission, which is something apparently that happens with dual clutch transmissions. Not in this one. In this one, first gear, you don't even feel it kind of engage, or that little click or that little kick that we were feeling with the other one. So it's been really smooth. Now, more kind of performance, kind of getting off the line with the four-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive system in this. It's very uneventful, which is what you really want, especially like if you're in slippery conditions, but there's a lack of go from the start. So if you're on a stop, it's not gonna really shoot you forward, which is one of the things I was kind of confused again, because we were feeling the sportiness to it. So off the line, it's not the fastest, but once you're kind of up to speed, and I think it might just be maybe like first gearing is a little bit on the long side, but once you kind of get on it, it really goes. It can go. It may also be the power delivery on the power torque curve with the turbo kicking in, but we don't really feel when we accelerate on that first gear, we don't really feel, how can I explain? We don't feel it going up. We don't feel a torque spike, so to speak. It just goes smoothly into it, and it doesn't really, it's only till you're really above on the RPM where it shifts into second, and then we start feeling the kick coming in. But we don't hear the turbo. We hear more engine than turbo. And there's no paddle shifter, so you do have, if you want to do your own shifting, you do have to do it on the shifter itself. Just a matter of slapping it towards you, puts it in sport, and then up is going to give you your upshift, and down is going to give you your downshift. So we have that. Now, when we take a look at kind of the infotainment, we have the Kia system, but one thing I did notice with this one, it has this cool thing that is Sounds of Nature. Yes, so Sounds of Nature was a pretty fun little thing to play with. It has like coffee shop sound. It has coffee shop sounds. It has like the ocean. It has, let's see, we'll go through them. And you guys might be able to hear it because, again, it's not copyright protected like my other music would be, but Open Air Cafe. Or a warm fireplace. Snowy Village. Now, Snowy Village was a little surprising because this content isn't mixed stereo. So stereo meaning left and right are gonna have different things. This actually has surround sound mixing. for this. So I'm hearing like little details in the back, on the back on the right, on the back on the left. So it's pretty cool. Lively forest, so we're hearing a lot of like, I don't know if you guys can hear that, hopefully. And sea waves, calm sea waves. You know, we're not gonna do any hurricane waves. Rainy day. And yeah, so sounds of nature was pretty interesting, but kind of a fun little thing. I would say maybe, you know, if you're wanting to kind of get away from, you know, being stuck in traffic a little bit, at least in the auditory sense of, you know, not having to listen to maybe the news, or, you know, you just want to decompress and kind of relax with different sounds. Yeah, that was a unique little touch, and those sounds are playing out of the Bose system. So this one is equipped with the premium Bose system. Now, typically I'm not a fan of Bose, but this one works really well. It's not earth-shattering or revolutionary by any means, really, but it's definitely a step up from what would be a standard sound system. So you definitely want to get this. Plus, the grill of the speaker has this like very modern like shape to it, these triangle shapes, which I wonder if that really affects the sound or if it improves it, because I know a lot of Bose's technology is about that sound wave, and you know, when they came out with their kind of flagship unit or their main unit, it was all about the porting. So I'm wondering if that would really take into effect, and it just looks cool. It looks awesome. You know, it's not just a flat surface, so it's got this, again, more quirky little design cues to it, which are definitely welcomed in this car, and really suits it well. And again, we come into the entertainment system. It's fairly straightforward. It's one of the easiest ones to work with the especially with the Kia side of things. You have your backup camera. I'm not 100% sold on it because it's not the highest quality. We've seen some other ones, even in less expensive vehicles, that are surprisingly better. But then again, we've seen way worse and significantly more expensive vehicles. So that's why I said it's okay. It's not 100% there. And then we have down here, we just have your climate controls, very simple. Now it comes to the fun tech stuff. We have a wireless charger at the bottom, and it's very deep in there because it is kind of away from you, and it's great because you just put your phone in there and control everything from your entertainment system. Whether you use the wireless charger, you still have your USB plug for power, and the other one for the entertainment, so the one that actually taps into the CarPlay or Android. You have a lot of little storage areas, so you can put things in the front. Here in this little area by the cup holders, you have two fairly sized cup holders that look like they'd work well. We have a little holder here, which is nice in case you want to have your phone on this area here. And we have your armrest doing its job. And the back seat is really comfortable. There's tons of space in the back. So who is this for? I'd say for a lot of people. The Seltos has really, really impressed me with the fit and the finish of things. You know, just kind of the little details have been incredible. You know, the handles, the way, the finish, the you know, everything, the ergonomics of where things are placed. The steering wheel feels great. The infotainment, it's kind of all the the areas for storage. Just the looks of it have been awesome. It's for a lot of people. You know, if it's one person, two people, you know, family of 3, even 4 with, you know, 2 kids, it would work really well. And I would prefer this over a Volkswagen Tiguan. Having driven that, this feels more upscale. As weird as it sounds to say that about a Kia, but look beyond the badge. Look beyond the badge and you'll see that what you're getting is great. I mean, the sound system looks great and sounds great as well. And it drives really good. It's very responsive to what you want it to do. And you know, the drivetrain just works well together. It's a very, very good package. Would I consider this my next car? Yeah, I think I would. There's definitely a lot of check boxes that this marks. Some of the things, would I change? I would say the cargo space we have to deal with a little bit better, but it's a small little detail to really seal the deal with a really good car. Well everyone, I hope you enjoyed my review of the 2021 Kia Seltos SX all-wheel drive turbo. So this thing has been so much fun. We really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed our review as well. Well, remember guys, make sure you find the right gear. See you next time.